We are water professionals, and our job is to improve water quality. In our last talk, you heard us describe the importance of using various forms of data and experts to help water professionals make decisions on important matters. More specifically, we shared the case of using wastewater-based epidemiology to mitigate impacts of the pandemic. Today, we will share with you how applying the same leveraging of data and change leadership thinking to project planning for stormwater improvements can benefit communities in an equitable manner. How we experience and manage stormwater and flooding issues is changing. Historically, stormwater infrastructure was built to focus on moving water out of the built environment as fast as possible, essentially trying to move water to accommodate development instead of targeting development practices that contribute to stormwater flows. This involved using centralized gray infrastructure and big detention ponds. Recently, we have recognized the role of natural processes and systems can play in mitigating stormwater. We see the swamps, wetlands, and natural ecological barriers that nature had, but previous planning considered these to be wasted spaces. Now we see more and more the trend of doing development with nature and recognize that integrating ecological functions and decentralized green infrastructure approaches in our built environment is important. At the same time, climate change is already affecting the rain patterns that generate stormwater and flooding. We see more intense storms that contribute to coastal flooding and storm surge. Rain events have greater volume and intensity, often overwhelming stormwater approaches. We will experience more extreme rain events in the future. However, our stormwater management practices are likely already under-designed for the rains that will come. We can use new data on expected rainfall patterns to develop new model storm events that we design green infrastructure around.
One way to mitigate flood risk is to undertake master planning efforts with respect to stormwater and flood mitigation infrastructure. These efforts go beyond asset management and maintenance. Master planning considers multiple factors, including the built and natural environments, socioeconomic needs, and historic and planned future changes in development to develop plans and strategies for infrastructure improvements that serve as the foundation for whole community improvements and community resilience. In urban areas susceptible to extreme flood risk, master planning for stormwater infrastructure is critical to achieving the goal of community resilience. Stormwater master planning can provide benefits beyond flood mitigation as well. All too often considered a waste product, stormwater can be used to supplement drinking water resources. Master planning can incorporate capture, storage, and treatment of stormwater, similar to direct and indirect potable reuse, to meet other water needs during times of drought. Historically, improvements to stormwater infrastructure were identified and developed using discrete data points collected post-event. These data points include FEMA data, which are individual assistance or flood insurance claims, local claims like 311 calls or post-event inspections, and findings from routine inspections and analyses. While these data can be effectively used to confirm where the risk for flood damage and loss occurs, it may not clearly identify where the problem is located. Capacity limitations in infrastructure and excessive overland stormwater flows due to increased impervious surface can create risk downstream, and using the wrong data can lead to addressing a problem that may not exist or does not alleviate the full risk. Increased capabilities in 2D dynamic hydrologic and hydraulic modeling have helped stormwater infrastructure planners at the City of Houston better identify the issues that create risk for flood damage and loss. This type of modeling combines the drainage infrastructure, the sewers, ditches, roads, and channels, with surface conditions to simulate rainfall events and create a complete picture of how water moves during and after a storm. Combining this modeling with the discrete post-event data allows planners to develop a comprehensive analysis of the causes and locations of flood risk. This analysis can then lead to better decision-making and the development of infrastructure improvements, which results in more effective investments to achieve community resilience. Using the success of recent modeling analyses limited to individual neighborhoods and communities, the city is embarking on an effort to create a 2D dynamic H&H model of all the stormwater infrastructure inside the city limits. This model will incorporate other advanced modeling efforts underway by other agencies, and will use updated Atlas 14 and land use data to provide planners a tool to better analyze risk and develop improvements.
In Baltimore, Maryland, the Urban Waters Partnership Flood Group, a consortium of managers, policy experts, planners, and researchers, has been coming together to address urban flooding issues. A key part of this group is approaching the problem to get past traditional workplace cultural barriers to solve the problems of flooding. This involves taking a holistic watershed approach, partnering and working across jurisdictions, and breaking down department silos. So we see departments of flood protection, transportation, and environment collaborating and sharing information. By breaking down these workplace cultural barriers, they can see the importance of new kinds of data that supplement relying on floodplain mapping and weather forecasts for decision-making. For example, 311 calls that report flooding hotspots and data that indicate socioeconomic risk factors to address social vulnerability and inequities better target practices to mitigate urban floods. There's a strong momentum to change how stormwater and flood management is done, but it takes changed leadership and lots of time and conversation to build trust and a shared vocabulary and vision. There's a world of new data sources and even updates to traditional data sources out there that we as water professionals need to leverage to help make informed decisions and respond confidently to improve outcomes for communities to environmental challenges. In the world of stormwater master planning, having a comprehensive and holistic model at our fingertips will allow water leaders to make decisions more quickly and appropriately address environmental and social needs. This will provide a service that goes beyond just building new infrastructure. However, the usefulness of data varies depending on the role each of us play. In terms of stormwater master planning, numerous political, environmental, and socioeconomic data sources come into play. Water leaders will likely need to consider the diversity, skills, and composition of their teams to best leverage these new types of data. Leveraging data to improve outcomes means different things to water professionals depending on their role, location, and experiences. With our past videos, we've shown how this concept has been applied through several case studies, but we are just skimming the surface. In our panel discussion, we will keep this conversation going, but we are looking forward to hearing your stories and experiences. We look forward to your participation in this panel discussion and hearing stories of what leveraging data to improve outcomes means to you.